Good evening. I am thrilled to be here. I'm Joe Ruminski, and I travel all across the United States teaching wood turning. I was an elementary school principal and educator for 30 years. And what I enjoy doing the most is making things simple out of things that are difficult to do. So a very beginner in a short period of time can go from very easy projects into the ones that look very difficult by doing simple changes. A couple of things we're going to do tonight. We're going to do a small wall hanging that you can do after you leave here tonight, knowing how to use one tool. We're going to do a lidded box. This is one sample. Ours will be a little different tonight. We're going to do a couple jewelry pendants. And we're going to do two different ring bowls, one centered and one off-centered. It will be fast-paced. I will do no sanding. I will leave these projects here with you so whoever has the lucky ticket can take it home and finish it. Hopefully you'll have to do minimal sanding if I use my tools well. Okay, I want to know a little bit about you now. How many of you would say you're very beginner turners? Hold them up. How many of you say you're intermediate, advanced beginner? Hold them up. How many of you would say you're professional? How many of you have ever sold a piece? You're professional. You crossed the line. Once you start selling, you're in that category, whether you like it or not. All right, I want to ask another question. I need you to raise your hand. How many of you sharpen your tools at least once an hour? How many of you sharpen them every 30 minutes? How many of you sharpen them every 15 minutes? How many of you sharpen them every 5 minutes? You're turning with dull tools. I'm going to give you a reference number here. If you got a 12-inch bowl blank turning at 1,000 RPMs in 1 minute, 92 seconds, a mile of shavings went across the face of that tool. Would you expect to walk a mile dragging a pocket knife and still expect it to cut? Of course not. Why do you do it with your tools? It's not reasonable expectation for the tool to still be giving you good, clean cuts. Sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. When I am home, I pick up a sharp tool every 5 to 7 minutes. The difference is my arm doesn't get tired. I don't do stupid mistakes because as they get duller, you push harder and harder, and pretty soon you're pushing so hard things get too exciting and you blow them up. Sharpen your tools. If it's not going well, blame the tool first. Go sharpen it. Then if you come back and it's not going well, blame the tool holder. Because that's where the problem is. So I want to talk about tools. I want to stress tool control from beginning to end. I made a comment about my tools are sharp. I do sharpen them at home every 7 minutes. Tonight I want to push them a little further. I used to apologize for stopping sharpening a tool during a demonstration. I don't anymore. That's reality of wood turning. People ask what tools do I like the best. Normally the free ones. I had a gentleman give me a set of 12 tools that he paid $20 for, and that was the best gift he ever gave me because I use it with my students all the time. Go sharpen it. Go sharpen it. Go sharpen it. Go sharpen it. And they learn tool sharpening. They don't learn to turn with them because they got dull too quickly. Buy the most expensive tool you can afford, and you'll get a longer lifetime out of it, better cuts, and they're smarter tools. I mean, just ask them. Okay, first project we're going to do has several purposes. One, it's one I love doing with kids. It's a ball and cup toy, and it stresses tool use. When I first started turning, I was bouncing using 5 or 6 different tools, and I took 1 month and used one tool for that whole month. The first tool I used was a roughing gouge. And I spent 1 whole month using it, so now I can use it. And there's a lot of different tools in that roughing gouge. It's learning how to use a tool. This is a wooden drive spur. Morse taper copy, just take your Morse taper, copy it close to the end, tap it in, don't worry about it, won't hurt the blade. This is the size of the hole. This is a 1 1/8 inch hole. The ball that goes in it is 1 inch. If you have a really good friend, you want to have fun, make 2 of them. Just make sure his hole's small enough that the ball won't fit in, and don't tell him. There's a little hole here. That hole serves 2 purposes. That's where the string is going to go into to attach the ball. It also tells me where the bottom of the hole is, so I don't have to guess and make a napkin ring and a stick. Otherwise, I'll cut it off. Slide it over. One of the reasons I like this working with young children, and I consider myself a child, getting old is not an option. And you heard that creak, that was the drive spur setting in. I turn on a platform most of the time. My small lathe was actually ordered for my height. If you're standing short, you're turning like this all the time, at the end of the day you're going, what is wrong? If you're tall, you're bent over like this all the time, at the end of the day you can't stand up straight. So get a platform so that you're standing where you need to be. If you're too tall, put your lathe on blocks. Get it up where it's comfortable. You want your elbow just about in line with the spindle. And that's just a good indicator, give or take a little. I've done demos with the lathe where the whole time I was almost standing on my head. Face shield, I am emphatic about wearing them. The rule in my shop is if I catch you without a face shield on, I'm allowed to hit you in the head with a hammer. You know, it's just real simple. It only takes once and then they remember.
Can't remember anything.
Lathe speed, there's 2 factors. Too slow is dangerous. Too fast is dangerous. There's a midpoint in between, and you'll know it by feel. I'm going to start off with this running way too slow. I'm going to start with the speed down. I always do. And I like to step off to the side regardless of the piece or how big or small. Now wearing a face shield like this guarantees it'll hit me in the face because it bounces off here and hits me here. So make sure it's down when you're using it. And we're going to start with a roughing gouge, only used on spindle work. I'm going to anchor it, put pressure down with the top hand just to keep it from bouncing. It doesn't need to be a lot of pressure. I'm going to stand with my feet where my body is doing all the work. My hands do minimal work. And I'm going to go really slow. The advantage to that is on a wooden spur it slips. And if somebody does something foolish and pushes too hard too quick, it just quits turning. And it's fantastic for children. If you turn the speed up, it teaches you pressure and how little you really need to turn. Same pressure on the lathe. I want the bevel rubbing, and I'm going to get my cleanest cut. I got a knot right in the middle there, so we're going to get below that. Then after somebody gets used to it, I go ahead and let them tighten it up a little bit. Lock everything in. Now I can do it a little faster. And there's this big urge to reach up there and feel it to see if it's round. Don't do it. Your fingers will wrap around over the top and get caught in between. And I've heard rumors that it leaves really nice black and blue marks on your fingers. Not that it ever happened to me. So what I'll do, not quite round, almost round, not quite. I can still feel the bounce. I'm not worried about how smoothly it's cutting. I just want to get it shaped. I don't want to leave the cup fairly thick. It's a child's toy. It's going to be thrown on the floor. It's going to hit brother or sister in the head. Who knows? But I want it thick enough to take a beating, get locked in the toy box. All right, now, most roughing is done with the tool head on. Bevel rubbing, slide back till it starts to cut. Now that's rough. I want to get a smooth cut on the side of the chisel is askew. And if I take and put that bevel rubbing turn the tool sideways, and slide right up. It essentially becomes a no-sand piece, if I do it well and I'm lucky. Luck has a lot to do with it sometimes. Okay. On the angle, the wood's touching in the center. I'm going to pull forward. There's the shavings. I'm getting a little bit of Can you see the difference in the camera between the two? This is probably 220 sandable, and this I probably want to start with 100, just because of the smoothness and the angle of the tool. You can rotate the tool through the bowl gouge or roughing gouge where people have troubles on a curve. They'll start with it straight on the curve, and as they go through the curve, one side will hit, and when it hits, it acts like a screw and just turns it right out. It'll take a big chunk of your wood out. So if you're going to go in on an angle, make sure you're going in and keeping that backside rubbing. Once you come off the backside, you lose contact and go. So we're going to speed this up just a little bit. And I'm just going to do this section here for a moment. What I'm trying to do is work down where my hole is. Now if I want a nice clean cut on this edge, and I've got it in a chuck or something else, I want to bring it up on that side and pretty much use it as a parting tool. And I don't have to worry about pushing the tool over. You come in this way, you're setting this side up to be caught in the chuck. And that is not a good thing. Thank you. Right. There's my hole. So that tells me where the bottom of my chuck is, or the bottom of my drive spur. So I'm going to put a ring there so I know where it is. And I'm going to leave that top that thick. Now, I want to clean the top up a little bit. I'm going to use my spindle gouge. Two ways that I like to use the spindle gouge. One is roll and cut with the bottom edge and just roll it over. The other way is you can come in and actually, using the bottom edge, rotate the handle around, and you get the same curve. For me, this is easier. Some people prefer to go this way. I want to do it both. First one, double rubbing, let it come back till you see dust on the front. Right there's the dust. And roll it over. The other way, I like to clean the front off so that you can, when I see towards the left, there's the edge, slide it, swing the handle around, and for me that's much harder because it takes more room. And you still get a nice clean cut because it's slicing. Slicing always gives you a cleaner cut than having the wood pull down straight on it. Now I know that pencil mark is where the bottom of my cup is. So I'm going to take a parting tool. Again, I'm going to start with the double rubbing and let it peel off, and don't go straight in and push it. Push straight in is a much rougher tearing cut. I'm doing side-by-side cuts to make room, and that's an approximate shape, thickness at the bottom, and I'm going to just round my cup off. Again, doing that rolling, slicing as I go. I'll come in on the other side, and I'm not really worried about this. Yeah, both of those were nice slicing cuts on the side, and fairly clean. Minimal sanding needed. All right. So, contrary to the names, a bowl gouge can be used on spindle work, and spindle gouges can be used on bowls. A roughing gouge, never put it on a bowl. It's not structurally designed to take the pressure of a bowl. And I'm just going to get the real wood here for a minute. On wood, you're going to get your best cut going from high on it to low. We're going to go back to our bolt or roughing gouge just to get rid of material. We're just going to step it down. I've had first graders do this whole project with a parting tool. to make it, how thick you want to make it. It is totally up to you. Now the chatter is because it's getting thin. So I'm going to work on the outside towards the headstock as I get thinner. That's about where I want to stop for the length. So I'm going to round this off just a little bit. I want to come down the other way to make my handle. Again, the nose where it's cutting is slicing. It's on about a 45-degree angle. As I get close to that void, I want to slow down with minimal pressure so I don't knock into the top. That was close. I want a little more curve here. Now I've seen a lot of people come in and put a lot of grooves and decorative things on that, and when you do that, if you hold it for a long period of time, it cuts into your hand. So I like to keep my designs just as simple as I can. Round this bottom off here, I'm getting a little chatter there. It says I'm probably too close to the bottom. All right. I'm not going to sand, I'm going to leave this on it so someone can take it home, sand it, and finish it. You got a kid's toy. Now, if you're really good, you save this back piece and you turn a 1-inch ball out of it. And to show that to you, here's the 1-inch ball bought from a toy store for 7 cents. It's not worth my taking the time to turn that into a ball. It can be done, but it's not worth my time. So, we've got it done. I went to a toy workshop, and one of the toy manufacturers, one of the toy safety people was there from the government, and they have no sense of humor. They were giving us 1 1/4 inches as a minimum diameter for a child under 3 years old. And I had one of these with me, and I saw him after me. I said, well, this is smaller than 1 1/8 inches, 1 1/2 inches. And it's got a string on it so we could pull it back out if he swallowed it. And he just saw no humor in that at all. You know, you just don't know about those folks. Now somebody asked, how did I get the string in there so easily? CA glue is your friend. Let it make a needle, let it stiffen it up, and it's good to go. And you've got your ball and cup toy. Go ahead and, whoops.
Well, let's see you do it.
I know better.
That's an inch rule at the top, so inch and inch.